This is tutorial 2, day 2 of pyImageSearch. So what I've done is I've taken some photos and I will flash through them really quickly. And they're deliberately bad, some intended to be better, and trying to understand these functions that we're going through. So let us, while I wait for you, let me share with you what I've done. So I'm going to go through the first photo, L1. Oh, it's loading. So this is a 4000 by 6000 photo, high res. This is what my table looks like close up. So not great. This script that's running is an edited version of the original script. So as you can see, it's a little bit hard to work with because the photo is so big. Here it's trying to find the edges of the objects. So all of these deviations here, dark color in the table, are coming out as edges. So this would be this one, this would be this one. So it's having trouble. Threshold. So this threshold is done by taking, looking for extremes of dark and light. And so the dark here was not extreme enough to show up as dark on the binary image. So it's basically showing either really dark or really light. This is contours, and so it's working to find the contours, but again, it's the same problem. I believe the contours uses the threshold image. So since it didn't find any extremes, it didn't show the contours. And then it said, I found one object. So I'm still trying to figure out what that one object is. I believe it is the entire frame, which is kind of interesting because there's nothing marked here that shows an object being found, which would be a purple line around it. Eroded. Apologize, I'm not too clear on what this is. Dilated. Output. Okay. So after that, I said, well, it's really not going to make that much sense if I don't modify the image size before I continue. So this L2 adapted tutorial. Oh, let's go down. This one. This adapted.py is just, I was making so many changes, I just decided I better keep the original and then start working on an adapted script because I don't want to get too far away from the original example, which I will use again sometime. Okay, so here we've resized it before, and this is nice. So you can actually see, well, I have Lego, right? And there is Lego in grayscale. So working to change the number of colors that we see. This is what it looks like. Okay, let's look at this side by side with all of the craziness in my table, right? All of this grain, and then the items. So you'll see the tetris example was two-dimensional items, and these are three-dimensional items, and this is turning out to be a bit of an issue. Also, there's an irregular shape to these items, and we have the knobs that create additional issues. So the shading, the knobs, all of this is part of our problem here, as you'll see. Threshold, look at that. With the threshold, only one thing showed up as, which one is that? Let's see. Right here. This one. And that's probably the black part right there. So the one thing I have to look at is what, on the Tetris image, what difference was he using? Was it a light, dark on light? Was it a light on dark, or whatever? So I have to set up my image similarly if I want to try to see how that script works specifically. Oh. Okay, so it had a problem. I'm not sure what that was. Draw contours. Okay, so now we're gonna do L3. Now let's do L10. Okay, so here I tried the white on the dark background. And so we see all of the same things happening. Okay, this is very interesting, right? And we don't have the table grain to get in the way as much anymore, but it is picking up some reflection on the, I turned a light onto it because I wasn't sure. I might have to try some with the light off. Here is the threshold. So with the threshold, it got this one, this one, this one, this one, that one. Interesting, huh? And then we air it out again. Well, this didn't air out before. That's interesting. I might have modified the script since it was last run. Anyway, I'm not worried too much right now. So I'm just showing you a status. Let's try image 14. So here they're all separated. Oh, these are all separated, and just picking up most of them. Still not getting that guy. And we're airing again, so I have to see what I did to make it not work. But hey, not bad, right? I'm looking up some things on other sites and finding some interesting observations, but maybe we'll talk about that another time.